Hello, everyone. It's Corinna here. Hope you're doing well. How have you all been? It's been an interesting ride, right? Um, there's so much to say about what's been going on. It's interesting. First, I guess let me start and say it's been interesting in the delay of not doing this May energy update at the beginning of May. And let me tell you, for someone who is as I guess the word is disciplined as I am in making sure that once I've made a commitment, I keep to it. It's been interesting for me to have to let that go. And I think there's more to be said about that. As we're going into this new energy, it's becoming more and more evident to me when we're speaking about being sovereign beings and really going with the flow, listening to our own divine intelligence as we connect into the ultimate divine energy. What is it that we are being guided to do each and every day? And the work that I do here, I take very seriously. I think I've made a sacred covenant to come and communicate and allow the divine to communicate through me for you, for the guidance that they feel they would love to share with you and hopefully guide you to your best life. That's always my intention. So when I do that, I want to make sure that I'm in the best energetic state. And when I do that, I need to make sure that all the cosmic tumblers are in alignment. Does that make sense? It needs to be the right energy, and it hasn't been. It just hasn't been, and I had to honor that. I sat down probably 2 or 3 times to do this, and I just got an absolute no, didn't feel right. So here I am today. I'm recording it. I still don't know if I'm going to post it. So if you see this, it's the right time to be receiving it. It is, what are we at? Monday, May 18th is the energy that we're at. And we'll see. We'll see if what comes through needs to be released. I have a feeling it will be. But here we go. So as you know, what I do every month is I pull some cards to tune into the energy of the next few weeks to provide the guidance that you most need to hear. Now, I did pull some cards. I believe it was April 28th. It was just a card spread that I did for you guys, and then intuitively tuned into the cards and passed on a message for that week. I'm quite certain that that message probably was intended, now that I look back on it, to assist over the next couple of weeks until we kind of got into this mid-May energy. To pass on the messages that I have been receiving. And so what I do for those of you that are new here is that I actually pull cards every month, tune into the energy, and pass along those messages. I read the cards intuitively. I have never studied tarot, although it'd probably be interesting to study it so I understand it a bit more. And it's interesting because one of the card decks that I did pull is more of a tarot leaning deck. So I'm not sure why I'm being guided to that card, other than I heard it might be great just to study it for a little bit. What I need to do then is I just surrender to what the divine is channeling through me. And so sometimes what you feel energetically from me as I'm doing the introduction, and what you feel energetically from me when I'm communicating what the cards are saying, is if you're really in tune, is a really subtle but different vibration. And so what I'm aware of is also the energy that's coming through with the words that I'm communicating vibrationally. There's a vibration that's coming through to assist everyone as well. Does that make sense? So you're really, when you're doing this work, a conduit, and my intention is always to be a clear conduit to bring through the highest possible information for all of you, and also the highest vibration for your vibrations, your individual vibrations, to tune into. I wanted to chat with you about a couple things that have been interesting for me in my own personal life before we get into the May energy update, just so you understand maybe vibrationally where I've been I think it's good to share this because I know we're all on these introspective journeys of ascension, certainly as we're going through this time on Earth right now. And we knew, as everyone has been predicting, that this would be an interesting year. It's also been a year of understanding and integrating shadow in the most loving of way. And I've talked about that in many other videos, and how to integrate ego and how to be at peace with what both sides of you bring to the table. That there's always that duality here, and we've talked a lot about that. And I know Tyler on our Divine Connections channel, we've talked about that as well. We might get into that a little bit more. So there's been times, certainly for me, with connecting into the collective and also being my own sovereign being, where in the last month or so, I have felt that shadow work actually coming up. And they just told me I'm not the only one. So there's a reason why I'm sharing this and being guided to share it. That there's been this integration part that's had to come forward, where we're still seeing what's still lying there. And in meditation, I asked the question before I went into meditation one morning quickly. And by the way, my meditations sometimes are 30 to 40 minutes to an hour, and sometimes they're 5 minutes. And I want to remind everyone of that, is that meditation doesn't have to be, it's a wonderful practice to have and a wonderful practice to help bring you balance. But we always don't need to go into an hour-long meditation to get the answers that we need. And so in reflection and meditation, probably a little bit of frustration, I had asked, you know, why is this struggle coming up in me? What is this shadow piece coming up with me? You know, kind of this, I don't want to say naive, but this innocence of me wanting to finally move beyond it. And I know in every part of my being that in this place of duality, that will never happen, because the duality is there to help reflect things back to us and help take us to the next level of ascension and understanding of the divine, is what they just said, and of co-creation. And so, you know, what they lovingly said to me, my guides and angels that work with me, is, listen, all the work that you've done for all this many years and all this shadow work, can you imagine what it would be like if you hadn't cleared out and done that work to build a foundation to support you right now? And can this bring you to a deepening sense of compassion for those that are awakening now and that are having kind of what I would call an accelerated awakening? And for me, many years ago, my 20s, I had a very accelerated experience of awakening. But certainly that was a process that was going on for me probably from the day I was born, and then continued on from that kind of end of 20s energy, where I had this massive push and acceleration. So what they said to me is, it's giving me an opportunity to be compassionate for those that are really struggling, and that's why you're seeing this expansive duality come to a head. Does that make sense? Is that all of a sudden everything is rising for us to witness and experience the vast expanse of what this duality experience is like within ourselves, and also within the collective, and what we're seeing outside ourselves. And so think about what's happening within your own self as you have come to terms and hopefully started to integrate those pieces of you that are those shadow pieces, you know, the dark and the light that's within everyone. And what it's allowing us to do, because we have done that fundamental work and we have continued to do that work, is that it's perhaps a little bit easier with the intensity that it's coming down energetically into the field for us. And so they said, so have compassion for those when you're seeing these polar opposites being exaggerated, what am I trying to say? Exaggerated in the field. is because it's all coming out in such intense energy now. And can you imagine if you weren't in the middle of all of that? And what they said was, is you're finding the middle ground in that piece. You're finding the middle way in that, because you've done so much work over time. So feel at peace with that. And many of us who have done this work for so long will continue to be way showers for the middle way. And I know there's a teacher, that talks in that language as well. Amanda Ellis, who I think is an amazing spiritual teacher. Hope you're following her. She's the only teacher I recommend on my YouTube channel, by the way, at this point, because there's consistency there for me. And it takes a lot for me to recommend someone, but there's consistency there. But it is this middle way that's important. And just yesterday evening in my own family, there was a debate, and it was a very conservative, liberal debating that was going on, let's say that. And again, I find myself in the middle way, able to see the value in both sides of that experience, the truth in both sides of that experience and that communication, the value in the reflection back to each other in both sides of that experience, in questioning and finding the middle ground. When you have such polar opposites experiences coming, doesn't it allow you to find the truth in all of it? Doesn't it allow you the opportunity to weave through the polarization to find the balance in the middle way? And I know that this is what they're saying to me through that message, is that it's that polarization that we're seeing escalated is what's going to allow us to come back to the middle way, where we have respect. They just said to me, we cannot heal the earth when we don't have respect for the polarization, because it's teaching us something. It's teaching us about respect for both views. It's teaching us that there is truth in both perspectives, and that there is no ultimate truth here. That ultimately the ultimate truth, I guess, if there is such a thing, comes back to the middle way and sees that both sides have value, sees that both voices need to be heard, that see that both reflections need to be there. We're in a very critical time of expansion. And this is why we're seeing this upheaval in systems, upheaval internally, upheaval in political views, if you want to call it that. We're analyzing everything. And rather than getting upset about it and more polarized by it, can we not get excited about it? Like, when I'm hearing those conversations, though how outrageous the far points seem to me at times, I'd rather go to a place of excitement, because this means that we're questioning, we're pushing each other to question. I don't think any way has all the answers. We cannot go all the way left or all the way right. It doesn't make sense. We live in a place of constantly having to bring duality into that balance point, right? And they keep showing me the yin yang, which was a favorite symbol I used to love when I was a teenager, and I had it on me all the time. And it always reminded me, go to the balance point, Corinna. There's balance in everything. Where there is dark, there is light. Where there is light, there is dark. And everything has a balance point within it. So I guess the message here is that I've been learning to get excited in the opportunity to find the middle way through all of these polarizing aspects that have been rising. Let us cherish the polarization to find how we come together for a collective vision. And I don't think, listen, I'm not so Pollyanna that I think on this earth plane there will be one collective vision massively. There will always be some type of variation of darkness and light. This is where we live. This is the duality we live in. And who knows where that's going to ascend to? Who knows where that's going to get to? But when I was in my meditation today and really connecting into Mother, for a brief moment, she let me see through her eyes, and everything was vibration, by the way. Everything had a sound, which is very interesting to me, a vibrational frequency. And what she showed me was, you know, through animals eating each other and organisms consuming each other and, you know, plants dying and growing and viruses or bacteria. Like the bacteria on my tree is what they were showing. Some of my tree was dying away, but gave opportunity for new growth. There was all these things that she was showing me, and that everything has reason. Everything brings balance in the end, if we can allow it to bring the balance. There's a wonderful documentary on Netflix that I just watched, and I think it's called The Little Big Farm or something. I know I'm probably going to misquote it, but it was an experiment that they did on a farm where they really wanted to tap into the ecosystem of Mother Nature and see if it could finally bring balance to a land that really was decimated and dead, right? Everything has a level of life and energy, but it was very low level of vibration of energy. And it took 7 years to do that. But again, it's what Mother was showing me is that, you know, where there is death, there is life. You know, the ducks ate the snails were eating the trees. There was too many snails because this is part of the documentary. And the you know, the fruit was, you know, the trees started to come alive, which meant, you know, certain insects started to come alive. And so it takes a while then for the, you know, then they had ducks and chickens, and the ducks came in and the ducks started to eat the snails to provide balance. And so Mother has this way of always bringing balance, but it takes time. That's the message here. This takes time. Finding the middle ground takes time. Finding the balance point takes time. And rather than pushing away these polarizations, you're wrong, I'm right, everything is required. Everything is required. I do a course called Healing Through the Art of Compassion and Love, and with Tyler. And what we show in that course through the experience of opening our heart to compassion is that even those that have brought us our darkest moments are actually angelic messengers of light for us and potentiality, and that the darkness that they had to live or share with us was giving us the opportunity to have a deepening connection of deeper love and deeper compassion for humanity and for ourselves. I'm simplifying the course. It's quite an it's a intense but powerful 2-day course that we teach, and I think it probably needs to be 3-day now. But this understanding, and one of the things that healed me the most in my relationships in my life, specifically with my father, was that the dark life that he had to lead, that he eventually shared with me, and my experience through that. He was my greatest teacher. And I had so much compassion for him choosing to live a life of sadness and darkness and pushing that onto other people at times, to give them the doorway and the opportunity to learn their biggest soul's lessons. And in that way, he was then my angel. He was then my divine and greatest teacher. Anyways, it's a whole course that I teach. But this is where we need to go, is that not that there's not right or wrong in the world, not that there's not boundaries or things that are whatever you want to call good or evil, but through those clashings of experiences, through those reflections of light and dark, there's the opportunity for expansion, for healing, for further ascension, for further deepening of the love energy, of the compassion energy. kind of going off on a tangent here, but I think these are messages that have been mulling over me in the last couple of weeks here, is that these are things we need to start awakening to. And I don't think it's any accident that that course was created a couple of years ago. It was certainly not, that was an awakening that I had in my 30s, and I'm now close to 50. So it wasn't a new experience for me, but I was aware that it was a new thought process for many others, that through embracing those experiences of darkness, of negativity, of whatever you want to call it, has the opportunity to bring you your greatest moments of expansion and light. And bless those that had to walk in the darkness to teach you your greatest lessons. And so those that are bringing up that polarity on earth, bless them for living that life for us to ascend to our highest level of love and compassion, and to ultimately find the middle way. So that's just a message that's been mulling over in me, in my energy, that for some reason I was just guided to share. The other thing that's been coming up for me is the color teal, and the energy of working with two things: the Alta major chakra, that's right here at the back of your where your spine and the back of your skull connects. And that Alta major is considered a minor chakra, but it is the chakra that they call the mouth of God. And I am very aware that this energy center is heightening in humanity, and very aware that there's had to been clearing here for even people like myself, where we've been bogged down with messages from the collective and just life experience. Because ultimately this is one of our what they've been showing me for many years is there's like a triangulated energy between your crown chakra, your third eye, your Alta major, your pineal gland, that kind of stuff. And this is the interesting thing for me. They show me these things in meditation, and then I just and they've been showing me this for months and working at expanding it. And I just thought, before I start talking about this, I should really investigate it. And of course, many people have talked about this, but no one's taught me this. You know, I haven't looked into it until just this morning. It's just, I knew that it was a truth, because that's what they were bringing for me, and I could see it within my own energy frequency and work with it. So that message, I think they just said, is coming through, because when you're in meditation, they trust what you're getting. Trust what you're getting. The other thing that they've shown me that is really activating, with both within myself even more and within the collective, is the tree of life energy. And as I'm meditating, they're showing me the tree of life in my energy field. And again, I'm not an expert in the tree of life. I don't know why I'm all of a sudden my energy is connecting into it more and more. And of course I go and look, and there's a direct overlay, which they already showed me through meditation. So this, these are two things that I'm picking up in the collective that are really starting to be activated as part of the ascension process. This understanding how to find the middle way, and understanding how to love the dark and the light, and how to have divine appreciation for the duality, for all the lessons that duality brings us. The Alta major chakra and the color of teal, which I'm wearing today, that I'm being very drawn to right now. I think there's even teal in here. There is an activation, a release, an opening, because what that does is it allows us to communicate more clearly with other dimensions. And haven't you been feeling that in yourself, where you can feel this, not only this connection more to, you know, where we are in Mother Earth, and feeling connected to that energy, But so they're just hearing, this is also, they're telling me, I don't know, I'd have to investigate it, that this is also the place where our telepathic communication actually comes in, as we're able to telepathically communicate, from place to place here on Earth or through dimensional fields. So it's like a galactic gateway in some ways to that connection piece. And the one thing that they've been keep trying to tell me, which they do, because I tend to slouch because I'm really tall, 6 feet, and I slouch, is they keep saying, Corinna, lengthen your neck. Corinna, lengthen your neck. I just bought a device actually that will help me actually lengthen my neck. And again, not understanding why, just trusting that. I just kept hearing them, put your shoulders back, lengthen your neck. When I go look it up this morning, before I started speaking about it, because I knew I was supposed to speak about it today, just again, it's confirmation that to help to open this, it's really important to pull your chin back, lengthen your neck, open your heart chakra, right? Open this energy, because it also connects into the heart and ultimately grounds to the root. So, Arjuna, I hope, and I intuitively, I know you're also getting that guidance. You're also getting that internal guidance that's coming through you, through your own messages. And this is what they want you to encourage you. They just said to me, this is why we're having Corinna speak to you about this, is the awareness that this energy is here, but also listening to my experience through this, about this is how I actually trust the divine, and how I actually connect in and communicate and know that they are guiding me to whatever it is I need to learn, know, heal all the time. And so this process is also happening in you. And so what they're saying is there's lots of many wonderful teachers, and those are teachers that help to confirm you or help to set you into a track which takes you into another direction of teaching or learning or support. But ultimately, the over umbrella message here is that's all just confirmation of the wisdom you already have within you. It's already all within you. And so when you're listening to me or any other teacher, it's what it is a recognition of the information, the knowledge that you already have within you. So if you're in meditation and getting a message, if you're in meditation and you're seeing things or feeling things, trust that, go with it. Be curious about it. I mean, I've been working with this for energy for months and months, and they've been teaching me through meditation. But again, before I taught you, I'm thinking, I've got a curious mind, right? I've got a logical mind. I want to just get the background history of some of this. And it was just, yeah, okay, that's what they've been teaching me. So trust that peace that's being ignited in you, of when you're quiet in reflection, that inner peace that's giving you guidance, okay? I also just wanted to talk about the teal spray. This is the teal spray, which has been certainly supporting me through this clearing up energy in my Alta major chakra. This is by Amanda Ellis again. And I just wanted to, I bought this months and months and months ago. It sat in with all my other sprays because I also do sprays, and I have her sprays, and I've got one other person's spray that I've been drawn to. And I haven't used it. But recently, I've just been guided to use it more and more and more. And that is the reason why, is that there has been this clearing out, is what they're telling me, and also this activation, this further activation in the field of this teal energy, of this Alta major chakra. She also has a good, as I was doing some research today, I noticed she has a video on it. I didn't watch it. It's an old video from 2018. It popped up when I put Alta major in, just to get some more information and confirmation of what they were teaching me. They just said to me, why we all need those confirmations, don't we, Corinna? So yeah, we do. we all need those times where we have that logical mind that's trying to keep us on track and safe and keep everything kind of logical to navigate through a life that sometimes needs logic. Anyways, so I noticed that, so maybe I'll put that link under this video as well. I don't know what that tangent just went on, probably for half an hour. And I don't know why I needed to say all that, but I trust that there's a reason why, and I trust that there's someone here that needed to hear it. Okay, without all that said, let's get into pulling some cards for the remainder of May and see what they want to say. I am getting guided to pull from 2 new decks. And one is the Earth Magic deck from Stephen Farmer. Actually, I've been using these cards again. I did a couple personal readings with these and they were bang on. And they were actually downstairs in my other studio area. And I didn't really want to go down there because I was kind of in the zone up here, but they told me we had to use them, so I got them. So I'm actually going to pull from that deck first. So I'm just asking for guidance for the next couple weeks through the remainder of May and maybe into the beginning of June here. What is it we most need to know to lead us to our best lives? I'm interested to knowing what you guys have been going through, so put that in the comments below. What have you been getting in your meditations? What are you feeling? What are you feeling about what's happening on Earth right now? I'd love to hear not only how you're feeling personally, but what are you intuitively getting? What are you feeling? Because I think it's important as a community sometimes for us to share in those thoughts and that energy. It's for confirmation again, is what I just heard. And also sometimes, again, just as I might have, by saying what I just said, igniting a memory within you, the knowledge within you. Maybe something you say to me will do the same. So we all come as teachers in one way or another to each other. Okay, just asking for guidance here, please. What is it that we most need to know right now? And I just got 2 cards from this deck. I'm also being guided to do the Akashic Tarot, and I've never worked with this deck before. I bought this deck a long time ago, and it's been in my closet in the bookshelf. And they said, go and get it. And when I went through the cards, it obviously has a tarot makeup to it. But again, my intention is always to read intuitively. So we'll just see what these cards want to bring forward. It's got just 1 card from the set. And I'm going to go back to my Quantum Oracle. And as always, I'll put the list of decks in the bottom. And you guys, if you're interested or feeling like you're vibing with the deck, you can go and look it up. I believe all these decks are still available. And I just write 2 cards. And Archangle Metatron deck. I just heard 1 card from this deck. The other thing that I'd love to hear from you guys is, because I'm always looking for the lessons and everything. What is it, if you really sit in meditation for a moment, for everything that's been going on in the last few months, what has your greatest lesson been in all of this so far? They just said to me, so far. What's your lesson been? I think for me, my lesson has been again, it's to surrender to the shadow, to have compassion for the shadow. Yeah, that brings some of our greatest awakenings, and not to resist it. Okay. Oh, here we go. No, that was way too many cards. That's more than 3 cards. I know that's just me flipping up. So 2 cards once my finger got in there. Okay. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for a minute, and then I'm going to see, as usual, I usually do what do we need to surrender into out of in the next few weeks, and what do we need to do for self-care. So we'll do that at the end. All right. I was just going to say, I knew when I was looking at all these cards from the Akashic Record deck, as soon as I touched this card, I thought that card's going to come out again. I just took a look down to see what card it was, and there it is. Let's see what it actually means, though. All right. Yeah, so the first card that we got was the Wolf card, and it's the Instinct card. They just said this is just confirmation of what Corinna was already speaking about, is, again, this, they're talking about the teaching that they keep bringing. So there are a number of different teachers about your own sovereignty, about listening to your own instinct, about when you're in meditation, what are you learning? What are you picking up on? What are you remembering is what they just said. Because it's always about a remembering, if anything. And it's about listening to that internal instinct, like all the animals instinctually know where to go to for water, where to go to eat, you know, how beyond survival, they have this connection to all beings, to all energy within their world, they said. And so do you. You have a connection to all beings within your world, within the energy of all worlds. And they just said the beauty about animals is they have not forgotten that, where we have. And they're so at peace with the way everything rolls out that their natural instincts and their own intuitive knowingness, if you want to call it that, just automatically just kicks in. And they automatically know which direction to go to. They use all of their senses to take them there. And they're just saying it's time for us to use all of our senses, including our 6th and our 7th and our 8th sense and all these other ones that are developing, to take us in the direction that we need to head. They just said to me, this being of light, this wolf, has no doubt in which direction that they're going into, because they're so in line with the natural flow of life. And this is what they want to remind you of today, is that you need to get into alignment with the natural flow of life. Trust your own instincts. Trust what you have within yourself as an internal guidance system. Because they just said to me, the waters are going to get really muddy. And see how dark these waters are. The water surrounding us, perhaps at this time, with all of this polarity and duality that's showing up in extreme forms, more and more and more, as things start to bubble up. They're showing me bubbling up through the surface of the water to be seen through the darkness of the water, because they keep showing me dark water. Is that instinctually the wolf will know how to navigate around that, to jump over it, to avoid it, to go through it. That it's not going to sweep them away. It's shallow enough here to pass through here. It's not over here. You have all that internal wisdom within you, and when the waters are muddy, and you don't get any footing, you don't know how deep it is, you don't know where it's going to go, you'll know how to navigate and where to navigate to cross. They just said to me, stop listening to the nattering, the others, all of this other data that you're just being bombarded with. You take it in to a certain extent, but you've got to come back to your own instinctual being, your own intuitive knowingness. Let that be your guidance system, because that will bring you the most harmony in this, on this journey. And it's interesting, right, that I just talked about when I connected in with Mother in my meditation, everything was in harmonics. Through vibration, everything had sound. Like she showed me, the wings of the bee has a harmony to it, has a vibration to it. Everything has harmony, everything has vibration. And most of all, when we're in alignment with our own intuitive knowingness, we're most in harmony with the divine. We're most in harmony with the natural flow of life. Again, there's a message here about the darkness still here, but look at that. These doves always are messengers of hope. So there's still lots of hope, and there's more light than darkness here. But the darkness, I just heard, let your own intuitiveness allow you to navigate through this landscape where the darkness is not going to go anywhere, to take you to an energy of hope and guidance. And they just said, you need to go within. You need to go within to see that. You need to listen to what's within your own heart to see that. They just said everything had to shut down and get quiet. So you had to go, you had the opportunity to go within. Some of you have taken it and some of you haven't. Again, they just said to me, it's always free will. There's always free will here. What do you do with the time? What do you do with this time? And some of us have had time and some of us haven't. I have not. But still through this process, there's been opportunities to have reflection and do work and go within. Continue to navigate through this process through your own independent sovereign beingness, because within that experience, everything you need is within you. Okay, I know they keep repeating that message, but this is such an important message, and that's why it keeps coming up. Okay. The next card that came up was Loving Elementals and the Three of Roses. The one thing that they're saying to me with this card is that, especially at this time of year for us in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, here we are in summer and the energy of spring, and everything is new again, and lots of people are outside gardening more and more, connecting to Mother more and more. I mean, we just went and put our gardens in all weekend. We had a veggie garden started this weekend. I was out with my hands in the dirt. My nails are probably a pretty good reflection of that. They just said to me, see the world with new eyes again. See the world through a child's eyes again. And I've been watching children recently, and that feeling when you're a child and everything is exciting and everything is new. And that's the energy that they want you to tap into, because there is a new energy and a new frequency that's coming forward. And the world will continue to look like a world that perhaps is unsettling for some, because it's starting to look progressively different. But rather than taking it from a standpoint of fear, of the unknown, the darker waters, they just said to me, can we not look through it through like a child's eyes, with what they're just saying, what Corinna said earlier, that she's finding the excitement of the potentiality of watching the new unfold, even as there's these extreme polarities, even as we might see the darkness expose itself, for the light to be reflected back from it even higher and brighter. As these things start to change, can we open our eyes and start seeing the new world that's going to continue to expand and grow and develop? They're saying for the next 20 years. That's interesting. Over the next 20 years. Sorry, I just said to them, I hope I'm here to experience that. That was a little banter back and forth with them and I. Anyways, start to see it more through a child's eyes again, with a level of excitement rather than resistance. You know, a child just goes into an experience, a brand new experience, with curiosity, with wonder, with not all of this jaded history pulled with them. And so even though they know that that's not easy, and we perhaps will never be able to fully let go of our history, as we start to create the new, start to become curious like a child into what is starting to awaken within you and awaken within the world, and the new possibilities that you start to see in your life, in your career, in your relationships, in the directions you're taking. It might look like nothing that you had originally charted out for yourself. And rather than being afraid of that, which is our natural survival instinct, this is the other thing that's coming up in people. They just said to me, we're also having a survival instinct that's being pushed and engaged in us through this experience. And we're having to find peace and balance within that, right? This survival instinct of needing to survive through the chaos is naturally part of what we need to embrace, because it helps us survive in a very physical world. But we have to balance it with our own intuitive knowingness, and that there's a balance point with this, and that we're moving in a natural way with our own instincts, our own intuition, and not in a fear way. They just said to me that old parable about which wolf do you feed, right? Whichever wolf you choose to feed is the one that's going to grow and thrive. So we can go into the rabbit hole of lack and of fear and of letting that survival come up in us, and taking from others so we have enough, and all of this kind of stuff that we've done historically at times in the past. Or we can move into an energy of, I instinctually still have this survival thing that will kick off in me. I'm going to integrate it and find peace with it, and connect it into my own intuitive divine knowingness, knowing that it comes from a place of the divine. It's not separate from, it's coming from a place of the divine. And let it guide me into an instinctual navigational tool to help, again, guide me to my best life. Does that make sense? So which wolf are you feeding here? Which wolf are you feeding here? Can we come with the heart of a child, is what they just said, as these new opportunities expand open for us, as we're witnessing new possibilities, and as that sometimes when the old falls away, our natural survival instinct kicks in. Will we connect into the lack mentality in that survival instinct, Or will we allow our own internal instinct for survival to connect in with our intuitive divine knowingness and our connection to the divine, and allow those two things to merge together, not one taking over each other? Because when full instinctual thing is pushed forward, where it comes from a lack mentality and just survival. I'm just seeing like people grabbing stuff from themselves in the past, you know, when people were starving and things, and historically, you know, take what's yours, get what's yours. This kind of energy has not, it just said hasn't really worked out well in the long run. So can we find then peace and integration and balance, where we understand that we can't push away that, because there's still the physicality of living on Earth. There's still that instinctual body survival mechanism that kicks in, that has to kick in sometimes to get you through any type of level of physical crisis. But can we merge it and find peace with it, find grace with it, and release the lack mentality that has often been attached to it, and move it into a place of grace and connection, just like the animals do. They're just showing me when there's been lack of food here, then the animals naturally migrate to where it is. Again, in a balanced way, They just said to me, an animal would never completely decimate a tree. They're showing me the vision of what happens every fall and spring here. There's a whole, and I watch them every year, and I'm always fascinated by it. There's flocks and flocks of birds, and I can't remember what kind of birds they're called. They come in and they eat off my mountain ash tree. And it fascinates me because there's hundreds and hundreds of them. But number one, there's always berries left on the tree. They don't ever completely decimate it. There's always something left. And you see them come in almost in waves. You see 20 come in, 20 leave, another 20 come in, another 20 leave, another 20 come in, another 20 leave. And it's the cyclical energy that you can see with them. And again, it's always in balance. There's never 200 birds on that tree. There's 20, and then another 20, and then another 20. And at the end of the day, there's still enough seeds to drop to the ground for the potentiality to create more trees to again feed future generations. There's this rhythm that happens here. There's this rhythm that happens here on Earth that we need to connect back into, and that is a natural survival instinct. Eat is survival, right? The birds come in, they want to survive, but they don't come with an energy of lack. They don't come with an energy of greed. They come with an energy of trust, because instinctually and intuitively, they know Mother will provide. That is their greatest hope. And that they know there'll be another tree. And so you'll never see an animal completely decimate a land like that. There's always balance. There's always enough left. That's what they want us to remember. That's what they want us to find harmony in. We need to go back to that harmonious way of being here on Earth. They just said to me, we need to watch the animals more, because the animals have the answers. It's interesting. So the next two cards we got were two doorways. Doorways to spirit and doorways to romance. What I'm getting is okay, thank you. This is confirmation of the Alta Major chakra, doorway to communication with spirit, and how it connects to the heart, because it does actually connect to your higher heart. They really want you guys to work on this right now and understand this chakra, because it does allow you to have a deepening connection to the divine and communicating with the divine and the spirit world. And for those of you that are listening, they're just saying, you're ready for this. And that's why Corinna is talking about it so much. That there's two doorways that have been open here. And that, of course, some of us are already feeling that. The veil has thinned, you know. As we ascend up to a higher vibrational frequency, the veil, it's like an energy veil between dimensional worlds, starts to thin and thin and thin. And so it's easier to communicate. And this is one of the areas that's being cleaned up for humanity right now, is that Alta major energy as you ascend up to the new vibration. So the doorway has been opened for that. And of course, we've talked a lot about this because it started in the fall. The heart energy has opened more and more. And they just said to me, these two centers are connected, and then it's grounded. And so there's a doorway into the heart that has opened. There's a doorway into this communication to the spirit world that has happened. And then you need to be able to ground this energy, because the one thing that they said to me, and they're reminding me to talk about it is in meditation, is that we can get trapped in these upper fields, and we always have to bring it down and ground this new energy, okay? It always has to be grounded, because we're still living in the physical energetic field. They just said to me, again, now I'm understanding why I went off on the tangent at the beginning, because they're just saying, similar again to what Corinna's just said, they said that's why we had her talking about this, is that trust what you're getting when you're communing with the spirit world, with your guides and your angels, similar to what they were showing me with the tree of life and how it integrates into all the chakra systems and outwards into other energy systems around the body field. Trust what they're showing you. Trust what they're giving you. Continue to communicate to your divine team more and more and more as the veil has started to thin, as you're opening up your communication centers, as you connect to the mouth of God. Trust this process of listening to your divine team. They just said to me, Spirit is always with you. But as we start to commune, as we start to realize there are multiple dimensions around us, they just said there's nothing to fear in that. It's a reconnection for us to all of not just humanity, because of this telepathic thing that's happening. And they said, work with that, telepathically send messages out to people and see if they receive them. But there's this other level of communication now that can start to come in for many of you. And they really want you to tap in that the doorways have been open. The next card that we got was the Akashic Records Evaluation and Review. And this is what a lot of us have been going through right now. There's been a lot of cleanup happening. Even for me personally, I've had a lot of full circle moments, karmic full circle moments, and I'm very aware that they've come full circle. And I feel so blessed when they do. It doesn't mean as we start to close the circle, it's not challenging at certain points of it, because there's all of this release, awareness. When you're closing a karmic circle, what happens is, because we have free will here, we have an opportunity to either fully integrate and close it, accepting, and there's always an acceptance of a shadow piece in closing karma. Always, or it wouldn't be there, because there's this karmic connection happening between you and another individual. And in those moments of energetic exchange, they haven't always been the most light-filled moments. So either someone has pushed their fears or experience and pulled you into some kind of energetic experience with them, but you've stayed locked into it because of a shadow piece within you. And so this is what we're starting to awaken to clean up, to move beyond some of these karmic patterns. This is the opportunity that's here for us right now. And so as this comes forward for you, as you're noticing these full circles, and they're saying, oh, many of you are noticing these full circle moments, We have an opportunity and a choice, because we have free will, to either continue with the pattern again, because you can feel yourself being drawn in. And it might not be even with the same person, but it's a pattern of behavior, a pattern of something that's been unhealed. So sometimes we have karmic patterning with individuals, right? But then we also have karmic patterning within a situation that we've experienced. So whether that's just relationship experiences, so the same messenger keeps coming to help you close that karmic loop, whether it's an experience, you know, in a particular job setting, whether it's an experience with family. Again, it all doesn't have to be that exact person, but it's this energetic karmic loop that we've created, that's, they're saying, is stored in the Akashic Records, that we're having an opportunity to open to and choose whether we continue on with that pattern, or we completely come to a place of compassion and understanding for ourselves, compassion and understanding for the other person, the other beings involved, and rise up to elevate to the highest potentiality for all in that scenario. And these are the opportunities that are keep coming forward for us right now. As this new vibration comes in, as we keep ascending into a higher frequency, they're just saying we're going to have more and more and more of this, where old patterns are having to be released and new vibrational patterning is coming into a field where, again, they're showing me doorways, right? So where the doorways, these doorways are opening to new experiences. But what they're showing me is like, you can't walk through the doorway because the doorway is like this narrow, when you've got a massive boulder that you're dragging behind you that could never fit through the doorway. And so what it's giving you an opportunity of, when you kind of get stuck and you realize you're stuck in this pattern and you keep pushing, what they're showing me is keep hitting the door frame, hitting the door frame, hitting the door frame again and again and again, because you just can't get through the other side of it. So you're going to see, you know, each time you're coming up to the doorway, the opportunity to let go of the boulder finally, and finally walk through, or you're just going to, you know, back up again and continue to come up and hit with the boulder. So it's this pattern that we can get into, that we have the opportunity to let go of. They just said, so take a moment. I just said the meditation is so important right now. Take a moment to sit and reflect and review. Many of us have been in our survival mode has been kicked in. I was saying this to a lot of my friends. Through this experience that we've been going through on Earth, many of our survival mechanisms have been ignited, you know, where many of us have, what we thought, kind of moved away from basic survival instincts. And so this instinct has been ignited in us out of perhaps fear, out of just picking up on the collective, out of necessity sometimes, because some of us have you know, a lack of money, a lack of food, a lack of security, a lack of stability. And of course, your natural survival instinct for survival, it just starts to engage in you, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, we've got to find peace with that. We've got to find some peace with that. And so that's the experience that we've been going through. Where is this going? Can you bring it back to me? And so as we move forward from that, as we start to integrate that and come to peace with that, then we move into a place where we're once again moving. And what they're saying is we've come, we've come out of this survival piece. You know, let me get enough food in the house. Let me make sure my kids are taken care of. Let me get my kids set up on the computer. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do that. Let me do that. This kind of basic survival. Let me get all the information I need to know to keep myself safe. How do I do this? How do I do that? Do I wear a mask? Do I not? You know, all this survival stuff. We're coming down off of the survival peak, and now we're heading into a moment of, what was that all about? What is this all about? What am I learning here? Because if we're not always looking at what I'm learning, again, we go back into a cyclical pattern. So what is it? What is all this experience bringing to me? What has it personally taught me? What do I believe and tune into that is teaching us collectively? There's a moment here of reflection. There's a moment here of the potentiality to release old patterning that we saw in ourselves through that survival push, right? Maybe we got into other old habits because of the survival instinct. We picked up on old habits, maybe start eating more chocolate again, maybe start obsessing about exercise again, maybe you start obsessing about food again, maybe you started drinking more, maybe you started smoking more, maybe you started working more and you became obsessed with work because it's survival and I need to work. What was ignited in you that we still need to go back on and reflect now? Because they said that's the key to the doorway. That's the key to getting through the doorway, is now that we're coming off the peak of survival in these next few weeks, what is it that was ignited within us that still needs to be healed and witnessed and cherished and loved through to the other side? Take time right now to do this. Take time right now to do this. They just said to me, you don't need another project. You don't need another focus point. You need some time to sit and reflect. They just said to me, what the heck was that all about? What the heck ignited within me? What am I still afraid of? What am I still obsessing over? What am I still trying to control? This is the level of reflection they want us to go to. And this is the energy and the time of reflection that's here for us right now in the next few weeks. Because our final card, how beautiful is this? It's the air card. Because that's what's going to enable us to fly free. Again, a portal, a doorway has been opened. It's interesting. We're talking about May 22nd for some reason. I'll have to look that up, but there's some kind of energy around May 22nd, and maybe that's why this message had to be delayed, where we can now move through to the other side of this. I feel great peace coming. That doesn't mean that there's not more awakening, more remembering. But they just said, as we have these continuing peaks and valleys, when we come off the peak, if our survival is ignited again to this level, and they said there is the potential in the field for this to happen, is when we start coming off of that, or even as we're reaching the peak, can we be aware enough to not surrender into the old patterning? Have we released it enough or not? That's okay if not. And if not, as we come off the peak, can we come into a moment of reflection like we're in right now, where we can see what that was bringing to us, where we can see where we still have shadow pieces that need to be integrated and loved and healed, where we can see where there's more, they're talking, I don't know whether they're using the word migration and integration of moving energy from one place to another in the field. Because they just said to me their ultimate goal for us is freedom. To feel free, and I keep feeling like I want to take a deep breath with this. Like, let's just feel free. Let's bring this energy of, they just said, when was the last time you thanked your body, you thanked to the divine that you're still able to breathe freely? Because some people are not right now. Every breath is a gift. Every breath is a gift. Let the breath bring you back to your greatest awakening. That's what they just said. And in the midst of everything that is going on, that has multiple levels of meaning, let the breath bring you back to your greatest awakening. Okay, with that said, I'm just going to pick a card about what we need to surrender into or out of here for the next couple of weeks. They're talking about it being an interesting transitional time. Again, they're talking about the peak. So we're coming into the peak of survival mode and into reflection mode right now. They just said to me, use this time wisely. Because if there is another peak, there's an opportunity not to do it quite as the same. Why they're saying this, but they just said, allow duality to speak for itself. Allow duality to help you find the middle way. Allow the duality to speak for itself. Okay, what do we need to surrender into or out of place over the next few weeks? I just heard surrender to what is. See if there's a card here as well. Yeah. Surrender worry. They want us to let go of worry. Make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, oh, here we go. Breathe them out of your body. Surrender to the breath. Breathe them out of your body. Focus on the power of your heart. And, oh gosh, I can't make this stuff up, you guys. And trust that Spirit is always guiding you. Focus on the power of your heart and trust that Spirit is always guiding you. Make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life and surrender worry. And I know for me personally, that has been a freedom that's come for me in the last couple of weeks. I've just surrendered. I've just surrendered it all. And there were times where my survival mechanism was kicking in hard. But there is great power in surrendering the worry, trusting, knowing that what is for you comes and what isn't doesn't. There's power in that. What do we need to do for self-care, please? Can I have a card for self-care over the next couple of weeks here? Self-care, please. There we go. Self-love. Self-love and self-acceptance is the ultimate of self-care. Self-love, self-acceptance. Loving all those things that have come up, loving all the shadow pieces. And I don't know why some people need to hear this. They said some of us need to forgive ourselves for the shadow that's risen. Just love yourself for exactly where you are, for all the fear that perhaps came up, for the survival instinct that came up. When you know better, you do better. Love yourself through this. Accept you're exactly where you need to be. Accept you did exactly what you needed to do. And again, when you know better, you do better. Because I feel like some of our survival things, I feel some judgment in the collective from people about the choices they made perhaps as survival was peaking, of the thoughts that came of, I can't reach out to that person, I can't be around. Like there's all this fear that came up. All of this, if I give to you, I won't have enough for me. Like this, just old patterning that came up. Love yourself through it. See it for what it was. Know that it's just something within you that is still needed to be integrated and healed and loved. And if there is there perhaps is another peak. They keep showing me a peak of survival at some point. Know that if you do this internal work, there's a sense of not having, it won't be as triggering, it won't be as challenging. But they just said to me, on the other hand, if it is, brilliant, it's exactly what it needs to be. So trust that whatever is rising is exactly what needs to rise within you. They just said, have excitement in that opportunity, because what it's bringing for you is an opportunity for grace to unfold in your life, for peace to come back to your field, and for love to enter every moment. That's all those experiences are giving you. Doorways of opportunity for grace, peace, and love. That's it. Anything else they want to say? I know that this was I love how they kind of wrapped it up all at the end, because that's what they do. But I trust and know that the messages that came through for you guys are exactly what whoever's listening to this needs to hear right now. What I want you to know is that no matter what, through everything that's going on, there's lots of hope in the field. Continue to reach out to that energy of hope, because it is here for you through even the smallest things. I don't know why they're showing me, but just a ladybug showing up for you. Take those as signs and symbols of hope, of new life, that life continues on. And they just said, watch Mother Nature right now. Watch what Mother Nature is doing. It's an important lesson for all of us. Yeah, they're going to bring us back to understanding balance. We don't quite get it yet. Us as a human animal, we're still learning. Okay, beloveds, much love to you. Much love to you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're finding peace. I hope you're integrating that which was still unseen, but perhaps is seen. And know that you're exactly where you need to be right now. Exactly where you need to be. If you were to be somewhere else, you'd already be there. So have faith in that. All right. Much love to you. I don't know what June's going to hold. I don't know whether I'm going to be on 1st of June with a June energy reading or not, but I trust I'm here when I'm needed to be here. I listen and I come in service to you all. Okay, much love to you. Hang on to hope and faith. It's there for you. Take good care. Bye.